Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the KFS pregame show. My name is Andrew. His name is Sean. His name is Mensa. And we are here to preview the upcoming matchup between the New York Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Knicks, after their victory last night, a 140-110 victory over the Detroit Pistons. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks get right game pretty consistently throughout this season. After that victory, the Knicks jumped back into 10th place in the Eastern Conference. They are 10-11, and because we're embracing the mid here in 2022 across the conference, at least, the Knicks are just a half a game behind Brooklyn, just one game behind Atlanta and Washington, and the parity is real. They are 3 games behind the Cleveland Cavaliers and Donovan Mitchell for third place in the Eastern Conference. We're going to preview the Bucks first, is what we're going to do, fellas, because we have some stuff that is not pertaining to this game, potentially, that we're going to talk about, and it's going to dominate a lot of the show. So let's get the housekeeping and then the business part of this episode out the way first. Shout out to our friends at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $100, win $100. That's bet 100, win 100 at wynnbet.com. Download, bet, win. We will do betting and sweating later. I want to just remind everybody that we rule. And yesterday during that game, we went 4 for 4 in our picks. All 4 of these lines hit. Knicks money line, Mitchell Robinson points and rebounds, at least 18. Marvin Bagley, at least 20 points and rebounds. It hit. And then the big one, the birthday boy, Julius Randle, 35 points, rebounds, and assists. Would have been fun if you just took 35 points. Shout out to Julius Randle. This is the type of advice and helpful information that we give here on this pregame show. We will do betting and sweating at the end. Don't worry. Shout out to our friends at WynnBet. We're also going to preview this game by talking about the Milwaukee Bucks real quick. Just get this out the way. The Milwaukee Bucks are really good. There, we previewed the Milwaukee Bucks. They're really good. They're 14-5. They're second in the East. They're ironically only 3-3 on the road. They've only played 6 road games this season. They're 11-2 at home. But they're top 5 in defensive rating, net rating, defensive rebounding. They're really good at rebounding, not necessarily in the offensive glass, but the defensive glass. They're really good at defense, and it's really hard to score on them in the paint. So their blocks per game is third in the NBA. They don't have a lot of possessions, and ironically, their field goal percentage and their free throw percentage is not that high. Those are the 3 bottom 5s that they have. I've actually, and this will come up in betting and sweating, I've talked myself into the Knicks at least keeping this close tonight because the Knicks have a top 10 offense, and the Bucks, despite their defensive proficiency, they're in the bottom 10 in 3-point percentage against, and maybe some people have regressed back to their mean, which is a perfect transition into the conversation we're about to have. So I will lay the groundwork because this is not going to preview a lot of the Bucks game. The Bucks are really good. That's your preview for tonight. And the Knicks will have, I think they'll have a shot. We'll get into more again during betting and sweating. So Sean, how you doing, man? Long time no speak. I haven't seen you since Sunday. The Jets are 7-4. So are your Baltimore Ravens. Our teams are same boat. I like it. So you jump in if I get any of this information wrong. You are the host of Knicks Film School's Twitter Spaces show, KFS Study Hall. It can be heard usually every Saturday. This Saturday, I'm assuming it will not be that day because the Knicks play at noon. So we'll have to adjust when that is, potentially Friday, potentially Monday. We will talk about that off the air when we actually reschedule it. You also, as part of Live from the Mecca, another Twitter Spaces show that is you and Said Shine and Jeff J, our homie from MSG. Yes. So,
absolutely.
You are frequently in all of the spaces when they're there, and you jumped in another Knicks Spaces with Said Shine again, and I Hate Sean with a U, and Naaman from The Wire. You jumped in there, Knicks chatter, the day after a Knicks victory, and you had a suggestion that was dragged. And I want to give you the floor because the exact words you used, and that when Mensa was like, I will not stand for this, even if I don't fully agree, was I cannot let my KFS brother get jumped like that. So if you got jumped, I'm here to defend you. Unfortunately, I cannot fully defend the take. So I'm going to give you the floor. What happened the day after during some Knicks chatter?
Okay. First of all, shout out to KCDA, who just Sean said, entertaining space. So I had a few takes. I had 3 of them, and 2 of them went swimmingly. One was about what was the first one? Why am I blanking? Oh, it was about if we're gonna crush Julius for all these things, then we can't not crush RJ. Like if you play bad, you play bad. Then I held all the people accountable that said that Jalen Brunson was a nepotism signing and he was not that good, and I created an apology for him. And then I said, I'll take a step back. Before the season started, I had a take and I said, Evan Fournier has a place on this team and I will die on this hill. And I said that because I have watched this team not have shooting for years. And it just seemed as if Evan Fournier has now he has taken Elfrid Payton's place as the whipping boy of this team, the scapegoat of this team. Now, I think Elfrid deserved it more than Evan. But there just was this narrative that like this team stinks, our defense stinks, and it's because of Evan Fournier, and we need to get rid of Evan Fournier, and our defense will improve. We'll be a better basketball team. And I was like, whatever. So I, on KCDA, said, I just find it interesting that the worst 3-point shooting team in the league cannot find a role for a career 38% 3-point shooter. And that's when I got jumped. And it was, I don't want to hear this and this, then third, that's stupid, whatever. And I understand that Evan Fournier is a lightning rod. And Mensa, to his credit, and I've never even met Mensa in person, and he came to my aid. So next time when we meet, I will buy you a beverage of your choice, alcoholic, not alcoholic, or not.
I like it.
And he said, and he retweeted, and then he retweeted it, and because I had I put a little thread the next day, and he retweeted it, and that's when you saw it, and that's when we started going back and forth.
Yes.
So here is,
I'll just add on a little behind the scenes to those that saw this little spat on Twitter. I just sent to our pregame show group chat on group DM on Twitter. I was like, we're advocating for Evan Fournier minutes today, aren't we? Okay. And that led to a conversation that we are now bringing on to the pod. Well, to the pregame show.
In fact, I will read.
Oh, no.
Can I read my thread?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I started a brouhaha on Knicks Twitter by simply suggesting that the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA should consider figuring out how to use the career 38% 3-point shooter as playing 0 minutes a game. And if the response is he's going to take away minutes from the kids, that is not an indictment of the player, but of the head coach being unable to or determined not to figure out lineups that utilize a player's strengths and cover his weaknesses, which is literally his fucking job. That's in parentheses. If you think said player's last NBA team is going to be the Knicks, it won't. He will likely go somewhere else and be used in a manner commensurate with his skill level. And then you will go into the spaces and use that as another reason why this front office needs to go. Let me be clear. I will not lose sleep if he never plays another minute for us. I am not saying he should start, play 28 minutes a game, or take a rotation spot from the kids. But he can contribute to this team and avoid those scenarios if only we had a coach who could figure it out. And the reason why I came up with this is because I would notice that in our losses, we couldn't hit a broadside of a barn from 3. So I said, okay, let me do some research. And I did some research. The Knicks have lost 11 games. In those 11 games, they are shooting 113 of 366 from 3. That is 30.9%. The league average from 3 this season is 35.6%. We have shot below that average in all but 2 games that we lost. The game against Cleveland, 37%. The game against Boston, 40%. Every other game, 9 of 37, 12 of 35, 12 of 43, 7 of 25, you get it, right? So now, first of all, I'm going to take a step back. This is not a tanking situation. This is not a tanking discussion. This is about, I know you know, because
okay, go ahead.
But to those out there, like if the argument is we shouldn't play Evan because we shouldn't try to win games, that's a different discussion. For the purpose of this conversation, we're talking about we're trying to win the game in front of us. So to me, when I see that the Knicks have the worst 3-point shooting defense percentage in the league, and we have this guy, we can't find situational minutes. We can't find a lineup that can say, all right, you know what? We're down 12. We can hit the broadside of a barn. I'm going to play this lineup of Evan. Let's say a lineup of IQ, Evan, Grimes, Cam, and insert center here, right? We can't do that for 5 minutes a game, 7 minutes a game. We can't. So apparently we cannot. But we can watch RJ Barrett play 37 minutes a game and hit and shoot got 1 of 17. That's okay. That's okay. Because that's development, apparently. So for me, and I understand the pushback because a lot of people responded and they said, well, the problem is he's going to take minutes at the kids' expense. And so now I say two things. One, there is this notion here that like if all these kids played 38 minutes a game, we'd be like this amazing team. And it's like that's not necessarily the case. But more importantly, those people are actually right. The problem is our head coach. And yes, I know he's mixed and matched, and he's been more flexible of his lineups here and there, and he's played Obi and Julius together more and whatever. But this coach, basically, he cannot figure out a way to say, like, all right, can I find on a game night where we don't have some three, can I find 5 minutes, 7 minutes to play this kid? And you know what? He could play him at the expense of Derrick Rose's minutes. He could play at the expense of a minute or two from Randall. I've already spoken about RJ. There are ways that you can, in a game, like 5 minutes, where you say, all right, you know what? I ain't got it set. I'm going to run this line up there and get it back. And the funny thing is, I know he's capable of it because I saw him run Deuce McBride in situational minutes against Memphis to help guard Ja, right? And listen, I love Deuce. Deuce can't hit the whatever. Offensively, Deuce is
what he is. Yeah, he's what he is.
Things to be desired. So all I'm saying is I'm not saying that he should start. He should play 30 minutes a game. Like I said, he would probably never play another minute for this team. But when you're last in 3-point shooting, I feel as if certain teams would find a way to say, okay, how can I use this guy? And I think John said it either in last night's pregame. Yeah, he said it last night's pregame. Evan has been a consummate professional beating out the rotation.
To his credit,
there's no noise about him bitching and moaning, issues in the locker room. He's just taking his medicine, accepting it, whatever. I think he even said what happened is like, I don't take it personal. I know the coach does not like me. He's just trying to figure something out. So all I'm saying is we should consider it, but apparently considering it is a felony in the 5 boroughs and the New York metropolitan area.
So, first of all, well said. And I don't think the idea and the notion that playing a career 38% 3-point shooter when you're the worst 3-point shooting team in the league is a dumb one. I actually think there's sound reason if that was the thing that's killing the Knicks right now. You cited what their 3-point stats are in their losses, right? They're also giving up 122 points a game in those losses. So it's impossible for me to say that the 3-point shooting is what lost them the games when they're scoring 110 points a game in their wins, and they're currently 10th in offense. The Milwaukee Bucks, the team the Knicks play tonight, the Knicks have a better offense than them. The Golden State Warriors, who won the title, and Steph Curry and strength in numbers, the Knicks have a better offense than them. Our little brothers across the river with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Watanabe making all of these 3-pointers. The Knicks have a better offense than them. So despite being the 29th ranked, because after last night they're up to 29th, the 29th ranked 3-point shooting team, they're actually succeeding on offense. And a lot of that is because this coach, as you keep pointing out, has actually gotten rid of all of the long twos. They're living at the rim and in the paint, or they're taking threes. The issue that I see, and it's what I had said to you privately, and it's what I do think that what they said to you, as much as the conversation got a little too, let's all pile on Sean. What I do agree with is that, and I'll go through a couple of them. So Emmanuel Quickly right now, he is shooting 30, Emmanuel Quickly shooting 32% from three this season. Do you think he will get better than that over the final 61 games? Career 39 3-point shooter. You're muted, by the way. Oh, he's got to find the mute
He
button.
should. He should.
He should.
Yes.
Okay. RJ Barrett, career 30. So RJ Barrett's the tricky one. He's shooting 27% from three. I don't think he's a
tread lightly.
Right. So he's shooting 27% now. His career average is not much higher, but I don't think he's a 27% 3-point shooter. He's a 34% 3-point shooter for his career. Do you think he'll at least get to 30 before the season ends? A Mark Teixeira, as you call him. Let's just
it would not.
argument's
sake. Yeah. Okay.
30's not good either. I'm just saying. Do you think he can get to 30?
It wouldn't. And listen, again. Look.
Mm-hmm. Nine in the photo. Yeah.
If RJ finished the season at 29% from three this season, it wouldn't shock me in the least. And it pains me to say that.
And yet,
but for argument's sake, let's say he gets to 30.
Okay, 29% though is an improvement over 27.4%, which is what he's.
Can I just jump in really fast? I don't think there's any way RJ Barrett shoots under 32% this season because of all the New York Knicks. I believe RJ Barrett probably takes the highest quality 3-point shots, maybe next to Quentin Grimes or Obi Toppin, who takes wide open threes. But it's not like RJ Barrett is, trying to get his Jalen Green on and, curl behind the screens and step. Like, that's not his game. He shoots open threes. And I think open threes, RJ Barrett should be hitting at least 32%.
He made a living on it during the We Hear Open Gym season.
It's funny you say that. Because I got in an argument on Spaces yesterday. RJ Barrett on threes from 4 to 6, where open threes, which is defined as 4 to 6 feet this season, is shooting 17%.
Which is why
that's gonna regress to the mean.
There's a regression to the mean.
That should be yes. There should be that. So I will say yes. He can get to 30 because I cannot see him shooting 17% on open threes all season.
And those open threes specifically in the corner is what he made a living on 2 seasons ago. And look, I might be turning a new leaf. Whatever. Like, I might be turning a new leaf here. Julius Randle's been outstanding offensively. He's creating open looks for RJ Barrett. Jalen Brunson has been.
If you're anywhere in Phoenix, Arizona, please tune in.
If you want to play it up that he's boosting his trade value, he is. If the Knicks are looking to trade him, he has absolutely boosted his trade value. I will agree with that. Doesn't change the fact that everything we wanted him to do offensively coming into the season, especially next to RJ and next to Brunson, he's done it, and he's done it outstandingly. As a result, I think RJ, I actually think there's like a world when the schedule gets easier and the Knicks shots start falling, this team might have like a 10 of 15 run in them. That's all I'm trying to say as far as like the performance uptick. And to keep going with that, so RJ might only get to 30%. And shout out to XJ who's watching live. Emmanuel Quickly is shooting 40% from three over his last 10 games. So he's already on the uptick up.
We got a super chat.
We have 2. I'm going to get to them. Don't worry. When we were talking yesterday about Quentin Grimes, yes, I know. Outstandingly is not a word. He's been outstanding this season. I make up words here on this program.
You say whatever you want.
Exactly. GMAC. Anyway, Quentin Grimes, when we talked yesterday, was shooting 27% from three for the season. He had one good game in Detroit. He's already up to 30% for the season. Cam Reddish is shooting 31% from three. Sean, do you think he'll be better than 31%? I'm not even going to give him 40. Like, it's not unrealistic. Like the Open Gym season when they had 6 guys shoot 40% from three, right? Mm-hmm. You think Cam Reddish can get to 37%?
I'm comfortable saying he can get to league average, which I believe is 36%.
Okay, league average. I agree. So those are 5. Okay, I didn't mention those are 4 guys. Jalen Brunson is already up to 33%. He was at 26% a week ago or a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. Mm-hmm. Started shooting better from three. Do you think that this career 37% 3-point shooter can get up to around there, maybe even better with some of the open looks that he's gotten this year?
Who, Brunson?
Yes.
I do, but I will caveat it that Brunson took a lot of. He's better on pull-up threes and catch and shoot threes, and this offense yields more catch and shoot threes. But for the purposes of this conversation, I'll say yes.
I think he could live at 35 for the season. I think that's like a reasonable goal to get to. So that's 5 players that we all think can get their 3-point percentages up this season.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we need Evan Fournier? Why can't the guys that are already taking these shots get those 10 more minutes? When, especially since the offense isn't what's hurting, it's the defense what's hurting them.
Don't we have a coach that tries to win every game?
Yes.
And so if
they're not losing because of their shooting, they're not losing because of their 3-point shooting.
No. But okay. So here's 2 things. One, allegedly we have a coach that wants to win every game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said no. He doesn't want to win as much as he wants to not lose. So if you see, I mean, listen, if you keep running Alec Burks out there for a half a season, it's because you are not trying to win. You're trying to not lose because it's safe. So if in a game you're like, we can hit the broadside of the barn in this game, let me go find. Maybe this guy can help me, but that's not what he does. Number one. Number two, the defense is the bigger problem. However, I think it is easier to fix the 3-point shooting than to say, Julius, can you please stop eating popcorn when your man runs the court? But it's easy to do. Play Evan Fournier 7 minutes a game or convince Julius Randle and RJ Barrett to not be complete trash on defense.
So what's easier? I actually think getting them to defend a couple more possessions a game is easier than trying to, because the 3-point shooting we just said will fix naturally with guys that normally shoot a certain number, shooting closer to that number. You know,
the thing about regression is that people think regression always happens in a season, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes regression happens next season. So, like, yes. I don't believe that RJ Barrett is going to shoot 26% from 3, but it could very easily be March, and we're like, all right, RJ is going to turn it around, or like it's possible. So in a micro sense, I have this game today right here. Mm-hmm. I can't hit the broadside of a barn from 3. I am shooting 27% from 3. Let me try something different and maybe get like 5 minutes from this guy and see what happens. And the idea that we cannot play this guy 5 minutes because it's gonna cause rambunction amongst within the team. It's like, I just don't buy it. Like, this idea is like, oh, it's gonna stop the kid's development. Like, get out of here. Like, please. And it's not like I'm caping from Evan Fournier. Like I said, I will not lose a minute of sleep if he never plays another minute for this team again. If you people who are watching now, go to my tweets, search Evan Fournier, or search Fournier. You'll see how many times I was like, it was time to get this dude out of here. Trade him. Like, it's there. But 2 things can be true. I can want him traded, and I can recognize that maybe situationally he can help in games where we can't hit the broadside of a barn.
And where I'll disagree with you is that I don't think that situation currently exists. I think all of the threes that you think he could help them with can also help with Quentin Grimes shooting what he's normally shooting. And with Emmanuel Quickley, especially over the last 10 games, he's showing that he's starting to shooting what he's normally shooting. All of these guys that normally are better than what they're currently are 3-point shooters, being that. We talked about Julius Randle to start the season taking so many threes, and he 17%. RJ had won a road trip where he went 0 of 22 from 3 over the first 4 games, and they were still winning games because their offense is fine. Their defense is what has needed to be worked on. And now that Mitch is back, now that Grimes is in the starting 5 and hopefully used more, you might see the defense start to improve. After one night, I get it. It was Detroit. It's whatever. They jumped 5 places defense, 4 places defense. They went from 28.
Still let the Pistons score 110, which is insane.
So it's not about 110. It's the possessions, though. Like, it's 110 in a team like the Knicks.
Yeah, I get it. The defensive rating. Yeah, I understand.
So that's why I'm 110 in today's NBA is actually fine. And they did jump 4 places defensively. We're at that point in the season where the sample size is still so small that a 140 to 110 victory over the Pistons made the Knicks net rating go from negative 2.7 to negative 1, which it's still negative, but like one blowout win can change everything. Last year, Memphis had a net rating of like negative 4. And in one night, they beat the Thunder by 70. Remember that game last year? And suddenly they have a positive net rating. Like everything's fixed with one game because it's still so early in the season. Do I believe there is a place for Evan Fournier on a team, potentially even this team? I'm not even going to disagree with you, Sean. Yes, there is. All of these minutes that you're suggesting for him, I'd rather quickly get them. A better defender who I think will shoot better from 3. I'd rather Cam Reddish, a better defender who has been a revelation this season and has earned all of those minutes. Do I think those 7 minutes should go to Quentin Grimes, who's turned out to be like their most important player, because you have 3 guys in the starting 5 who are not defending well right now. You kind of need an point of attack defender, like a point of attack defender like Quentin Grimes, to take on those responsibilities. If anything, and this was the take I was working on last night, a Deuce McBride for Derrick Rose conversation should be had because they're so bad defensively, and you might need an extra body out there that is more of a defensive specialist, and as a result quickly can just take the backup point guard minutes, and then you have a unit that you actually have plus defenders in it. I respect the spirit of the take. I can't get, like, the one thing you could there's so many things to criticize Tom Thibodeau for. Mensa and I got into it yesterday. In the end, I actually kind of agree with Mensa. Quentin Grimes should have been closing the other night against Memphis. That was a game. I don't think the loss is on Tibbs. It's partially on him because of that decision. I hate that the guy that emphasizes film study can't get Julius Randle and RJ Barrett to stop making the same damn mistakes on defense when somebody that supposedly watches the film 3 and 4 times. Well, I've been watching this game. I'm watching all of your games repeatedly, and I'm watching them make the same mistakes 3 and 4 times. So why haven't you been able to fix that? A defensive-minded coach.
Can I jump in?
I'll get you in next. Yeah. Imagine if Rex Ryan, the defensive specialist with the Jets, if his defense was giving up 40 points a game. That's on him, you know? So there are things like that to get on Tibbs for. Benching Evan Fournier is one of the best coaching decisions he's made since being a New York Knicks head coach. So I can't commend him for that and prioritizing better players on both sides of the ball, and then agree with you that what this team needs is more Evan Fournier. Mensa, go ahead.
So I think that on the topic of Tom Thibodeau, not to change gears too much, but how we're talking about, okay, who are the 3 players on the Knicks who by and large have not improved since Tom Thibodeau has been here? I would argue those 3 players are RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. I think
you don't think Mitch and Julius have improved? They both got extensions during his time here.
They got extensions, but is their game any better? I don't think Julius. Okay, here we go. Let's start here. What does Tom Thibodeau offensively loves to preach? Rim reads, right? The problem is when you're reading the rim from the lens of I am Julius Randle, so therefore nobody can guard me, and I am RJ Barrett, therefore nobody can guard me. That's not you can't just tell those guys to read the rim, right? You have to give more guidance. So the way I look at it with the New York Knicks is I feel like development kind of has happened the further away you are from the head coach. Quentin Grimes being out of the rotation, Emmanuel Quickly having a fight for everything, Obi Toppin having a fight for everything, even with Cam Reddish not playing, well, he was hurt, but being out of the rotation and having a fight for things. I feel like once you get closer to Tom Thibodeau and you're one of his guys that he coaches is when you start to stagnate. And I've seen it. I've seen it with the Knicks. I've seen it with RJ Barrett, who's been here 3 years and still plays to the rim and not through the rim. With Julius Randle, who still laundry list of things Julius Randle still does. Mitchell Robinson still can't set a screen. Yeah. But here's Jericho Sims setting screens. Here's Isaiah Hartenstein coming from another team setting screens. And it's the longer guys are with Tom Thibodeau is the more it feels like he enables them as opposed to empowers them. And I think that is a larger discussion that we can have at another time. But now that we're bringing up Tom Thibodeau and his frustrating decisions, I think that's kind of where it all, like, I think that's going to be like the nail in the coffin for him, is once we look at what guys have done with him and without him. And if you think I'm wrong, look what happened with Andrew Wiggins and Karl Towns when they were there. They didn't really improve. They were pretty much the same guys, I think that he needs to do a better job of holding players accountable. And if he held a guy like RJ Barrett and a guy like Julius Randle, who are, no doubt about it, very, very capable of being plus defenders in the NBA, not average defenders. I'm talking about guys that are good defenders when they try. If you did a better job of holding them accountable, then maybe, and this is at the footnote, maybe you might have some room for a guy like Evan Fournier, because the defense would have fixed itself if the coach was holding players accountable.
I'm not going to disagree with much of that, except for, like, I would still want Quentin Grimes to get all of those Fournier minutes. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree.
But the funny thing is, the lineup that I suggested literally includes IQ, Cam, and Grimes. Like, so whose minutes are we taking? Like I said, you can have a lineup of IQ, Fournier, Grimes, Cam, insert center here for 5 minutes. So whose minutes are we? So who are we taking?
So you want him to get Derrick Rose's backup minutes?
Why the hell? We said it all the time. Derrick Rose should be Taj Gibson.
Right. So and
yes,
Evan Fournier should be Austin Rivers. Like,
no, but in the game, now we're losing. Now we're gonna lose our shit over Derrick Rose plays 5 less minutes. Like, come on!
I said Deuce should play for him. I think Quickly should be the backup point guard.
Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is now, I feel as that I'm not saying that you're saying this, Andrew, but Mensa brought up a good point, and I realized this with the head coach, and I realized it with some of our fans. So there's a lot of sacred cows with this team. Fans have sacred cows. This head coach has sacred cows. And we have to be able to properly analyze and say, like, and acknowledge when things are not going well. To Mensa's point, maybe you could play Evan if the defense wasn't so terrible. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I even have to suggest this because of where we are is, to me, again, and listen, we can give Tom Thibodeau, yes, thank you for finally, playing 2022 basketball and playing Obi Toppin and Julius Randle 60 minutes in the first month and a half. Yes, thank you. You're trying now because you got your ass handed to you last year. Yes, here are some apple slices. But it's just mind-boggling to me, like, the coach that wants to win every game in a game where he's losing. It's like, well, listen, clearly I'm not going to beat them. Because, listen, if you have waved the white flag on getting these guys to play D, then you got to figure something else out. Like, because clearly you waved the white flag. You don't give a shit. You have allowed Julius Randle to loaf on defense for a year and 2 months. So, like, all right, let's try something else. Last thing I'll say is, yes, people think the offense is not a problem. I don't think it's sustainable for the Knicks to have a top 10 offense and be bottom 5 in threes. I don't think that. You want to talk about regression? I don't think in today's NBA that's sustainable.
But we just said that 5 of their current guys that are struggling from 3 are going to get better, which means their offense will get better.
They should.
But that's math. Like, if these numbers all go up, like,
what if the guy who plays 37 minutes?
I conceded this last night. If we're in March and all these numbers are the same, I'll go right on here with you, Sean.
January.
Whatever. If we're more
Christmas.
if we're more than 21 games into the season, is my point. This is a small sample size. And if we're like 40 games into the season and all these guys are still shooting this way, I'll be with you. I'll come on this show with you and be like, you know what? All 5 of those guys are still shooting around these numbers. You know what? They need Evan Fournier. Just, like, give it a shot. Because, like, we've tried everything else. RJ's still shooting 27%. Quickly still shooting around 30%. I think they're all going to get better. They're like, this happened during the We Here season. That final stretch of the season, all of these guys started making threes out of nowhere. The Knicks didn't take a ton of threes, which is probably why their offense never made it out of the bottom 10. But, like, look, we're in agreement. I agree with Mensa's point that the development, I don't know how to attribute it mostly to Tibbs. They have a top 10 offense. The offense isn't the problem. More than 4 days is not the problem. those minutes that you want to take away from Julius and from RJ, I'm in agreement to give Grimes more minutes, to give Quickly more minutes, to give Cam more minutes. Players who have earned it. The best decision they made was benching Evan Fournier. And John said this last night, they weathered the storm and the PR hit. Listen, the Jets are 7-4 and benched James Robinson yesterday. And it was a move that worked because Bam Knight and Tyler Johnson cooked on Sunday against the Bears. And now they've got to deal with James Robinson talking to the press about how he didn't come here to sit. And this is where you give Fournier credit and you give the Knicks credit for weathering the awkwardness of benching a guy you just gave an $80 million contract to.
The other thing is, I would give shout to Sed because he pointed this out.
Mm-hmm.
The defense got worse since they benched Evan.
It didn't, though.
It did.
Do
you want to pull the numbers?
They were 24th when they were 24th when he got benched. Where are they now?
Okay, that's because of they were
27th yesterday.
No,
they were 27th yesterday.
I'll find it. So they went from 27 to 24. When you saying they benched?
When they benched Fournier, they were in the bottom 10 in defense. Then they're still in the bottom 10. But my point is, like, a good week with Grimes back in the starting five and with Mitch back, like, that will help the defense get better. The defense has ways to get better, especially if this head coach holds players accountable, which I'm agreeing with you is an issue. But the three-point shooting is only going to naturally get better. Is my point. It only has only way to go is up.
I don't know. Take.
Go ahead.
I'll say this one thing real quick.
I don't know. And then I got super chats to get to.
Yes, I don't know if I am not sure that the defense will get better as long as the two guys with the highest usage on the team stink at defense.
That's what I was going to say.
The defense will get better if these guys are going to play like ass clowns for 37 minutes a game on defense. The defense ain't getting better. So that's what I'm saying. To me, that's why I say it's easier to quote unquote fix this because what have you seen that makes you believe Tom Thibodeau will get these two guys to stop playing the way they are?
It's a fair point, which is why I think that's the conversation. Is we need the defense to get better,
and
not
the fact
we need more Evan Fournier.
This conversation. All right, go ahead, Mensa. All right, I took your.
No, that's basically what I was going to say. I just want to double down on it. Like, if you're going to give these guys as many minutes as they are currently getting, and you're not going to make them play defense, it doesn't matter if Emmanuel Quickly, it doesn't matter if Quentin Grimes is in the game, it doesn't matter if Evan Fournier is in the game. The defense will only improve incrementally. We need to see RJ Barrett and Julius Randle play better defense. And people in the chat are saying Brunson is also a bad defender. I agree. Brunson is a bad defender, but that's like a physical thing. Like, he's a short guy with short arms.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett and Julius Randle are physical freaks of nature. They should not be bad defenders. They're not the long guys that you see in Giannis and Mikal Bridges, who are league-leading defensive players, but they're good enough in terms of their physical, like, capabilities that they can keep guys in front of them and they can try. If the coach can't get them to try, then you can play it. As far as I consider, doesn't matter who you're playing at the two, because you need those two guys specifically to give more effort, considering how many minutes they're playing.
I do want to see can I have a 10-game sample of Mitch and Grimes with these three in the starting five? Like, I want to see it if that improves the defense. I'm not saying that there's going to be 3-spot jumps consistently because they're not going to play the Pistons every night, but like, I do want to see what this looks like with Hartenstein playing backup minutes. And because, like, John brought this up on Patreon, the two worst 3-man combos in the NBA by net rating, when you go to a certain minute distribution, are RJ, Julius, and Brunson are second worst. And the worst one is RJ, Julius, and Hartenstein. So, like, this isn't, I think that's not like all to Hartenstein's fault. I think he's a backup center that was playing starters minutes and is unable to do what Mitchell Robinson can do. I want to see if they can get this defense to 18th, 20th, maybe, so it's a little more competitive and not so easy for teams to get a bucket. And I want to see if this offense, like, maybe you're right, Sean, maybe they're not a top 10 offense, but they haven't been depending on the three and they're taking a ton anyway. So as these guys that are on this team that are currently getting minutes regress closer to their career numbers, which we've already seen them start to do, maybe there's a top 10 offense in here. And maybe there's like a team that could actually be like closer to a 7 seed than an 11 seed. And in none of these scenarios do I think Evan Fournier makes a difference. The best thing that they did this season, I'll maintain that take, was benching Evan Fournier because it showed that your payroll number doesn't dictate your playing time. Your performance does. Now, we need that to reflect elsewhere in the roster. But I would already argue that Quentin Grimes starting is part of that, So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. I thought that was a lively discussion. I thought that was I
want to see to people, like, listen, we may not agree, but we can at least have the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to have the discussion. If everyone in the room is thinking the same thing, no one is thinking.
I have a comment to say. I'm just going to hold it to myself. That, like, you came over to here at KFS where, some people are, and even they have certain takes. So anyway, I-95 bully. We'll go to the super chat. What if Evan is unwilling to be a situational player? Fair. Is this a Kemba thing like last year where he was like, Tibbs is like, he's either a starter or he's not playing?
I think it is.
It'd be tough to find. So here's the thing. We saw him be situational. We saw his minutes slowly get less and less and less, and he got worse and worse and worse.
Evan is only not a situational basketball player for the French national team. Like everywhere else he will go, he will be situational.
Yeah, I agree. He's a backup if he gets traded tomorrow. Like, he is on a roster. Yes. I do believe there's a team for him. He's a backup on wherever he goes, unless the team is trying to go after Wembanyama. Next up, SB Gorilla. Love what you guys are doing with the pregame show. Julius Randle played well. Still trade him. Julius Randle and a second to the Suns for Crowder, Saric, and Kenny Smith's kneecaps and a protected first. Let's make a deal. NYK with the upset. I hope you're right about tonight. That's
the trade I suggested.
Everybody's been suggesting the Randle to the Suns since the summer,
No, specifically this trade.
This specific one. Kenny Smith's kneecaps and everything.
Well, not Kenny Smith kneecaps, but in the halftime Zoom yesterday, I said Randle to the Suns, and Jessica, shout out to Jessica, asked what would the trade be. I'm like, this is the trade. Like, either a heavily like one of these protected first that are like magic beans, or second. Like, get it done.
Yes. Good contributions, everybody, and obviously good. Listen, I'm glad we can have this conversation and it be civil. I'm glad it can be. This is why I like not having these conversations on Twitter. One thing we have to converse about, though, is that the Knicks do play the Milwaukee Bucks, and we're on a roll at the moment as a pregame show. So download the WynnBet app, everybody. Shout out to our friends at WynnBet, or visit www.wynnbet.com. That's WYNNBET.com. To start winning, you sign up today and receive a special offer. You bet $100, you win $100. Download, bet, win. And it is time for some betting and sweating. As I mentioned, we went 4-0 yesterday. The Knicks, as it currently sits, let me zoom in so everybody can see the screen. The Knicks, as it currently sits, are +6 against the Milwaukee Bucks going into this game. Money line is +190, which is actually, it's lower than I thought it would be. I would have expected the Knicks to be closer to +250. So maybe the line is trending a certain direction. The over-under for the game is 227.5. Some player props. You got Giannis. Oh, of course, there's no Knicks player props available. We'll get back to those in a second. Giannis is at 31.5. Giannis is averaging 30 a game. So one thing I actually want to go back to, let me get this down. So the player I actually wanted to highlight, and shout out to XJ for backing up my point here. Brook Lopez this season per 36 is averaging 18, 7, and 4, almost 4 blocks a game, or I should say closer to more than 3.5 blocks a game. He's shooting percentages are 51.1 from the field, 41.1 from 3, and almost 80% from the line. I made the case on our most recent Patreon that in the spirit of Jared Allen making it last year, that there's an all-star case for Brook Lopez, that if you look closer at his advanced numbers, he's been outstanding on the defensive end. He plays center, so that way Giannis doesn't have to. He's able to be a legitimate stretch 5, which is what you need in a lineup with Giannis. Mensa, insane take. Brooke Lopez, All-Star.
Is it 2013? No, I'm joking.
Well done. Well done.
I think no, I don't think it's a crazy take because of all the Bucks are one of the few teams in the NBA that deserves to have 2 All-Stars. And with like the in and out, Chris Middleton, we really haven't seen him this year. With Drew Holiday being hurt for a significant portion of the season so far. Brook Lopez has been rock solid. Would I consider him? Would he be on my ballot? No, just because there are really good basketball teams in the Eastern Conference this year. And I don't think that Brook Lopez has been one of the 12 best guys. But I mean, I would hear the argument for Brook Lopez, especially because what he does, like it feels like the NBA has finally caught up to Brook Lopez because he's been this guy forever, and being on a team with Giannis where he can be that stretch five, never really been a great rebounder, can shoot the ball, can still play great defense because he's always been a good rim protector, even back when he was a New Jersey Net. I think that's a sound take, especially. And then when you consider like who else at center in the Eastern Conference would you put over Brook Lopez so far this season? Joel Embiid is the easy nod, but he's been hurt.
That's it. It's
Bam has not been. Bam's playing all right, but his team is struggling. I think there's a pretty sound argument there.
So the other case before I give it to Sean is that maybe just don't take a backup center, that there will be like other players that you can go to at center. And we could talk about it. This is a safe space. There's a player in Washington that's been balling this season. I know he is the enemy, but Kristaps Porzingis could also be.
He's not my enemy. He's not my enemy.
Okay, good. I forget who said it, whether it was this conversation or someone on the chat last night. The
Mr.
Porzingis,
November?
What's up? Oh, Mr. November. That's what I think.
Was-
That's what one of you said.
that
Yeah,
was
one of you
Mensa.
said that. That was Mensa. Mensa said Mr. November. The funnier thing with Porzingis is like his connection to the Knicks is so much less interesting now. And it's more that the Mavericks lost the Porzingis trade twice. The one where they acquired him and the one where they traded him away. So that I think is a funnier take. Porzingis could be an option as the backup center. I just think there's an Al Horford argument to be had. There's an Evan Mobley argument to be had. There's a Brook Lopez argument to be had. If you're strictly looking for a backup center, it'll probably end up being Bam because this ends up being a popularity contest anyway. But Sean, the Brook Lopez of it all. I just read you his stats. We've talked about it. What do you think?
So I think the problem here, if this was 10, 15 years ago when it was still center instead of front court, he would be much easier for him. But because it's front court, so it's like, so that he's like, okay, he was never going to be a starter anyway. So it's like, all right, so you're going to take there's three spots right there, whether it's, Tatum, Giannis, whatever. So the problem is like he has to deal with Durant, Tatum, KP, Giannis, Horford, Mobley, Bam. That's 7 guys right there. And so you're like you said, it's a popularity contest. So it's like Brook Lopez. He has the numbers. So I would not be against it. I just don't see him making it because, like I said, if there were a center position, like he might start. Oh, they'll take Bam.
Embiid. If Embiid's gonna be the starter, and if he's out, then that's the thing.
I didn't even mention Embiid. Yeah. So
I do want to say
I think there's a case, but no, there's a case, but I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I do want to say that we, as like a community, well, maybe not a Knicks community, but like a greater basketball statistics community, should be starting the conversation about when do we start honoring the star in your role era? Because a guy like Mikal Bridges is absolutely an all-star. Is he going to get there over a guy who scores 22 points a game? Like, is he going to get there over between Jordan Clarkson and Mikal Bridges? Are they going to give it to Mikal over? No, they're going to give it to Clarkson because he gets buckets. But where we are as as far as like our collective understanding is, a guy like Brook Lopez deserves to be an all-star over a dude like Kyle Kuzma, and Kuzma's been playing great. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of it, I do understand like it's an entertainment business, and you want to put the guys in there that's gonna, they're gonna sell the most tickets. But as far as like who's earning it versus who is not earning it, we went way too far this way with the DeAndre Jordan all NBA first team vote years back. But I do think that there's a conversation to be had about us honoring the guys who will probably never carry a team ever in their life. But because of how awesome they are as connectors, like Quentin Grimes has been a revelation for the New York Knicks. He may never score 20 points per game in this role, but if he continues to grow, he's absolutely an all-star. So I think that as a community, and this is probably not for a Knicks podcast, but we should probably start that conversation. Does it really matter when you're a star in your role? Unless you're like superstars in your role, like Draymond Green get the nod. But like, what about guys that are a tier below that? Who are not like Hall of Famers? Like, why can't they be all-stars?
It's funny, Mensa. I agree with you, and I think people have an issue with Draymond getting on to a team like that because he's more of a role player and like is elite at what he does, But we'll see. I just thought his numbers were really impressive when I was going through my Bucks research for tonight's game. The Knicks haven't announced a starting lineup yet, by the way.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we're 10 minutes before game time. We're 5 minutes technically before game time, and the Knicks maybe they just haven't sent the tweet out. But I've been going through my notifications, and I'm like, okay, have not announced the starting five. This is interesting. So we'll see during betting and sweating. That's why when we go to betting and sweating, there are no Knicks props available, no Knicks player props at least available. You can go to a combo prop if you'd like to, but let's hear it. I'll just recap again. It's still -6. The Bucks are favored for tonight. The Knicks are +190 on the money line. Over under is 227.5. Mensa, we'll start with you. Your betting and sweating pick for tonight.
Okay, so because XJ kind of took my line, I'm going to go in the spirit of XJ, and I'm going to take Grayson Allen 3+3s at +160.
Okay. Grayson Allen this season, I had it up. He's shooting over 40% from three, but like it's like a lot over 30%, 40% from three, right?
Yeah, and I think Quentin Grimes is going to be busy defending Drew Holiday, so it'll be those RJ lazy closeouts that will get us burnt.
All right, great. I'm gonna look up what he's shooting from three. Sean, what's your pick for tonight?
My pick is I love props that require just something to happen once, and because they're so fun to root for.
Okay.
So my prop is Giannis Antetokounmpo 1+3s at -135.
So he just this is the Draymond prop from the other night.
It's the Draymond.
That's great value for a guy who hits threes against the Knicks.
Fun.
Yeah.
I want to be greedy and take the 2+ for 270 for oh shit +370.
You want to take 2 for plus? Do it.
No.
I'm feeling froggy. Come on.
No. I'm take one. It's
okay.
Those props where you just need someone to hit a 3 are the most fun props in the world. Where it's a guy that's kind of like him, Draymond, Jimmy Butler. That was a fun one. Those are fun. Like the not good 3-pointers, the not good 3-point shooters who take enough that gives them a shot. So that's mine.
Okay. There's a couple of props that I'm looking at. By the way, that's the Celtics. Hold on. It is like blowing my mind it's blowing my mind. First of all, the Knicks haven't announced their starting 5. I'm just like staring at my notifications to make sure I didn't miss something. And XJ, first of all, XJ's pick tonight is the Bucks first half spread of -3. So the Bucks will win the first half by at least 3. And he said, feeling froggy is he asked what that meant. Sean, if you're feeling froggy, then jump is what that phrase meant. Shout out to Jamel Hill for originally giving me that. So Grayson Allen this season is, now I get why you did that, Mensa. Shooting 45% from 3 this season.
Look, it's the XJ special. XJ taught me at the beginning of the season, take guys who shoot corner threes against the New York Knicks, and you're probably going to win some money.
Well done. So I am going to take Jalen Brunson. See, the tough part is, do I want to take Jalen Brunson against a defensive team like this?
You want to be froggy? Take his under on points.
Take his under on points. You know, I was thinking about that. It's what? Well, there's no points tonight because they haven't announced the starting lineup yet. So you got to go to a combo. Okay. So I'm gonna stick with my original plan. I'm asking Jalen Brunson.
Before you do that,
go ahead.
Can I introduce some data to the conversation?
Yes, please.
In Jalen Brunson's last 3 games, he has 5 fouls, and 4 fouls. Against Portland, Memphis, and Detroit. There may be a chance that foul trouble keeps Jalen Brunson from hitting his points over. On top of the fact that the Knicks may get blown out.
So I gotta be honest.
The data suggests it's a good at under 20.5, and he's been on an absolute he's been on fire. Don't get me wrong, but this is a game I do not expect the Knicks to win. This is a game I don't expect the Knicks to compete in. Jalen Brunson has been getting into a lot of foul trouble.
So I'm actually going to push back. This is not necessarily a game I think the Knicks will win. I do think this is a game the Knicks will compete in. So we've talked about the Knicks 3-point defense a lot, how they play drop coverage, and like this is a Tibbs thing where he does what he believes is right and is comfortable with, right? All that talk about how they're last in the NBA in 3-point attempts against, and they are 15th in the NBA in 3-point percentage against. They're like middle of the pack. The Bucks are closer to the middle of the pack in 3-point attempts allowed. They are, where are they? They're 8th. Okay, so they're closer. So they don't allow a ton of threes, but they are 21st in 3-point percentage against. So I'm going to pick a Knick to hit at least 2 threes. I'm just trying to figure out which one. I think they give up. No, it's Quentin Grimes. There you go. Quentin Grimes. Okay. 2 threes, and it's minus 125. That's decent value. So that I think is our betting and sweating for tonight. I do think there is some data to support that this game, if this offense can actually not be, if this offense can actually be what they've been the last 3 games, is what I will say. Really efficient, taking the right shots, and able to compete. And I don't think the Bucks are I don't think this is a game that the Knicks get blown out. I just don't. I have a funny feeling this game is going to be close in the 4th quarter. So, in conclusion,
CC Pittman in the chat. Monica McNutt said on MSG pregame, she got a text, Julius is going for 50 tonight.
Oh, no.
We're definitely losing.
Listen, it's going to be like, it's going to be a lot of, I get you back. I get you back to Giannis.
That's all right. I'm switching my pick to the Bucks money line. No, I'm kidding. Love you, Monica, friend of the pod. Okay, so our picks for tonight. Mensa is going 3+ 3-pointers from Grayson Allen at plus 160. This is an amazing bet. Sean is going 1 3-pointer from Giannis Antetokounmpo. XJ is taking the Bucks first half spread, which is -3, and I'm taking the Quentin Grimes prop of at least 2 3-pointers center at -125. The parlay, as we went 4-0 last night, we can go 4-0 again tonight, is plus 1455. Okay, maybe they're just not announcing this thing on Twitter. The Knicks still have not announced technically a starting 5. So find out live with us when the game starts. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for the KFS pregame show. We do this an hour before tip-off of every Knicks game. Next one will be Saturday and potentially like a mailbag type of pregame show. So come and join us at 11:30 a.m. While the rest of us are watching the World Cup. My thanks to Sean and to Mensa for the fun conversation. If you dig them, please give them a follow on Twitter. Their handles are in the name tag under their face. If you dig me, you can follow me as well, but you could really do me a favor instead and go to this video and give it a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the post game after the game tonight, I should say, when the Knicks hopefully are at least in a close game against the Bucks, because then I'll look right. And as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Knicks Nation, let's ride.